I love my E95S, but it's tough to clean and swap inks with it, especially since it only takes a squeeze converter. Is there an easy way to clean squeeze converters? And is it more difficult to flush out hooded nibs? My bulb syringe doesn't seem to clean the ink out of the nib unit completely. So I grabbed the Pilot E95S, which is the pen that you have in question. I'm gonna zoom back in. You get to see my stubbly chin again. But anyway, here's the pen, the Pilot E95S. This happens to be an extra fine, but it's a really cool pen. It's really kind of a pocket pen. I've got a full video on this if you want to check it out in detail, so I won't really go into a lot of detail about it. The one thing that I will show is the nib. You can see here, you called it a hooded nib. It's really not a hooded nib. This is what I would call an inlaid nib. Hooded nib is when you actually have a covering that goes over top of it and you just see a little bit of exposed, such as in the Lamy 2000. That's one of the most recognizable hooded nibs that's available today. But it's an inlaid nib. And then you have the filling mechanism here, which you just unscrew this blind cap, and it has a Pilot Con 20 converter that comes with it. Now you might be asking yourself, hey, can I fit a Pilot Con 50? This is kind of their flagship converter on most of their other pens. Can you fit that on there? And the answer is no, because there's this kind of stepped up portion at the metal band on the converter, and you cannot fit it in the pen. It kind of stops it right there. It doesn't allow it to actually grip on and be able to be usable. So that is unfortunate, because then that leaves you, the only choice is with the Con 20. Now it's not all bad, because the Con 20 has a higher ink capacity than the Con 50, so it's, you are getting some added ink benefit there. But you're right, it is a little tougher to clean out because you can't see it and there's no piston or anything. There's really two methods that you can do to clean this thing out easiest. One of them is to use an ink syringe, and you can just kind of flush it out. The ink syringe allows the needle to get back in there, and as you flush water through, it kind of pushes from the back and then comes out this way. So it really helps to kind of flush out the converter that way. Or the other method that I most often use myself is I take the converter off when I go to clean the pen, I fill it with water, and then I put my thumb over it and I shake the living daylights out of it. And then I dump it out. And then I do that repeatedly 5 or 6 times, and then it's pretty clean after that. And then if you want to, you can take a Q-tip as well and kind of jam that thing down in there. It won't get all the way back in the back, but if you get, you take a Q-tip and you kind of like flatten it out, thin it out a little bit, then you can reach it down in there and kind of scrub it out too. That's another way that you can be able to clean this thing out a little easier. Excuse me, that was not a sneeze, that was a cough, but it's okay, just in case you felt the need to say gazoon type. So there's the converter, and then the other question that you had about this particular pen was, how do you flush this thing out with a bulb syringe? The bulb syringe fits on here pretty well. I don't have a bulb syringe at the ready. Should have thought about that, but sorry. Still getting settled in. I don't have like everything normally at hand like I would in my old office, but you can use a bulb syringe to flush this thing out. However, the water, when you're flushing it through, is going to take the path of least resistance, and that on this pen specifically is going to be out of your filler hole. That's actually the situation usually with most pens. The faster you force it out, the more likely it's going to want to be to come out of the filler hole and not actually through the nib. So the thing that you can do to help with that is go slower. Just flush a little bit slower and allow the ink to actually come through that feed channel. The other thing that you can do, if you are dextile, that's not even a word. If you have the dexterity, is actually use your finger to cover the filler hole. You can like cover it like that maybe, and then use the bulb syringe and kind of flush it out, and it'll block that and make the path of least resistance to then be through the the writing portion of the nib. So that's another option for you as well. Or another thing that I've done too is I've kind of like filled it with water and then just like taken a paper towel to it and kind of wicked it through a little bit. You can do that as well. So lots of options for you on the E95S. This is something that, it's not specifically unique to that pen. It could be others as well that have that kind of same situation going on with the ink, the water that as you're flushing with a bulb syringe doesn't go all the way through, but that same kind of general practice of flushing through the filler hole is something that you can translate and use on some of your other pens.